Hello, and welcome to our series, The End of the World as You Know It, a condensed version of end time Bible prophecy. I'm your guest lecturer, Dr. Scott Mackenzie, and I'm going to talk to you today about a future prophecy that I think will be fulfilled before Gabriel's 70th week or the last 7 years of that 70th week prophecy becomes a reality for Israel. Now, those of you who have heard me teach before may know where I'm going. Yes, that's right. I'm going to Ezekiel. You see, at the time Ezekiel received this prophecy, he was living in Babylon. Daniel was there too, and Jeremiah, well, he was alive, but he was probably knee-deep in mud in a cistern in Jerusalem. And concerning Ezekiel's prophecy, I'm interested in chapters 37 through 39, which describe Israel's future when Jehovah Jesus will intervene on behalf of the nation of Israel. Equally as exciting are chapters 40 through 48, where Ezekiel was told about a new temple and Israel's new national borders. But those chapters 40 through 48 are for another time and another study on the future millennial world government of Jehovah Jesus when he comes back. Let's start with chapter 37, where God told Ezekiel he would bring Israel back into the land promised to Abraham and Isaac. Now, history proves that this has taken place, that there's a near and a far future fulfillment. The near future fulfillment took place when the Jews returned from captivity. The far future fulfillment took place after World War II, when God united the Jews once again to create the modern nation of Israel. The prophet Isaiah, in fact, was told, "Who has ever seen or heard anything as strange as this? Has a nation ever been born in a single day? Has a country ever come forth in a mere moment?" And you can find that in chapter 66 of Isaiah. And that's what happened. On May 14th, 1948, Israel became a nation again. God did what he promised the prophets he would do. Today, I believe that the Jews are where God wants them to be, which brings us to chapters 38 and 39, a time of great prosperity for Israel. A time when the enemies of Israel are the allies of the Russians. You see, the regions and countries mentioned in chapter 38 represent nations where Russian and Islamic countries now exist. Some of those are by the Black Sea. Some of those are by the Caspian Sea. These nations mentioned in Ezekiel chapter 38 include Turkey, Russian-controlled southern Ukraine, Syria, Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya as well. Now, the prophet was told the Russians and her allies would be compelled to attack Israel. The idea being something will happen, forcing the Russian military to respond. What is that something? No one knows. We can only guess. Maybe Israel will defend herself against a Russian ally, forcing that response. Or maybe Russia, knowing the American president is weak and knowing he will not defend Israel, decides it's time to invade and conquer Israel. After all, they have huge natural gas fields off their coast, and Russia could use them. Whatever the reason, according to prophecy, they will invade. Yet God will deliver Israel from certain annihilation, starting with an earthquake so strong that even the fish in the Mediterranean Sea will feel it. There will be rock slides in the mountains. Buildings will collapse, maybe even the mosques on the Temple Mount. Then the invading armies will turn against each other. Islamic Sunni soldiers fighting against Islamic Shia soldiers, and the Russians, well, fighting against everyone. Then, while the earth shakes and the invaders fight, God will send torrential rains, large hailstones, fire and brimstone. God will fight for Israel as he did in the days of Moses. And believe me, when the smoke clears, the last soldier standing will be Israelis. Also, according to the prophecy, God told Ezekiel he would send fire raining down on the homelands of the invading countries. Why? So they will know who the Most High God is. Bringing us to chapter 39 and the massive cleanup effort that will take place after the battle. There'll be bones, there'll be body parts, there will be weapons and vehicles that need to be removed. The body parts, the bodies, the corpses for burial, the weapons and vehicles will be salvaged. Vehicles will be emptied of fuels. There'll be tons of munitions that will need to be inventoried and stored. So from those prophecies, I believe you must conclude Israel is in the land today, so that this prophecy, as well as the ones concerning the return of Christ, can happen as planned. As the angels said he would, when Jesus ascended back into heaven from the Mount of Olives, while the apostles watched him go up, Jesus will return, and Israel needs to be in the land. So in Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39 take place, I think, before the last 7 years of Daniel's 70th week prophecy, and I believe as well before the rapture of the church. Well, when it happens, take note. The next prophecy to be fulfilled for the church is the rapture. And that brings us, class, to the end of our episode today in our series, The End of the World as You Know It. I'll see you next time as I take you to the last week, the last 7 years of Daniel's 70th week prophecy. Yes, we are heading to the book of Revelation in episode chapter 4. Until then, as Jehovah Jesus said, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe in me. Have a good day.